This activity is going to be for kids in grade in transitions around 6 to 7 years old. The activity is for 80 minutes, but I'm going to explain two sessions. The objective of that one is the kids will be able to classify the different objects according to the textures. The teaching objective content, it's going to be introduce the sense of touch and different textures, and the communication objective is going to classify and identify the three textures and identifying some objects according to the textures. The language of learning is going to be rough, soft, sticky, fingers, and previous language like rock, feather, and another language that they know about another senses like sight, hearing, smelling, and taste, because this activity is for the five senses because they already learned the other ones. For the pre-activity, we're going to play a game. So I'm going to show them different objects and they have to tell me what or which sense they're going to use with that object. For example, I'm going to show the coffee, so they're going to say smell or taste, and hearing or taste, and the book sight. So I'm going to show them a lot of objects and we're going to play, and they're going to show them some objects too. For the presentation and to introduce the vocabulary, I'm going to show them some textures so they can feel, because I think because it's sense, they have to see, they have to touch. So first I'm going to show them the feathers, and I'm going to say that is soft, this rock is rough, and the glue is sticky. So I'm going to let them play with this and feel it, so I can introduce the new vocabulary about soft, rough, and sticky, and they can recognize and get familiar with these textures. So for the activity, we're going to play a game, like a hunting game. So they're going to find and look for different objects with the same textures they already learned. So for example, there is going to be a lot of feathers around the room, a lot of rocks and glues, and they have to come here in the circles and classify the objects. For example, here the rough, soft, and sticky, so they can classify and identify the different objects around their room. For the closer, I'm going to give them a paper with 3 spots, and they have to draw and write the textures that we learned. The indicators of the activity is first, they use all vocabulary, the previous knowledge. The second, they identify the senses in the objects. Another one is they classify the objects according to the textures. And the accomplishments of the activity is they going to use a new vocabulary, they're going to use previous vocabulary, they're going to find some characteristics similar between the objects, and they're going to make relation between the objects and the texture. One of the problems could be in the activity is that the kids don't really remember the previous vocabulary, so we have to teach them again and to use the new vocabulary. And also maybe they can get confused about the terms and the textures, get confused in rough and soft, so we have to be a guide and identify the problems with the kid and help them with the task. For the second lessons, the 40 minutes, the kids will be able to describe different objects according to their senses. The objective of contact is they're going to recognize the importance of the senses and the difference between them. And the cognition objective is classify the senses and the objects and understand the difference between them. The language of learning is perceive, skin, body, and feel. And they have a lot of recycle language about the other senses. And for language, for learning, is what do you feel, what do you perceive, what do you see, and with the other sense. For the pre-activity, we're going to play a game with some books. I'm going to give them a book and they have to find some objects and they have to see what sense they have to use with the object. For example, they see the castle, so oh, it's a castle, I can see it with my eyes. So they can use the different senses. For the activity to introduce the new vocabulary, I'm going to use the same books they used before, and I'm going to explain the new vocabulary with some pictures. For example, skin, I'm going to select the skin, and body, so they can introduce with pictures and know what we're learning. For the activity, they're going to make a pairs and they're going to play a game. So one of the kids have to pick an object around the room, and the other one has to ask him a lot of things about the object, like what do you see, how it can be touched, and what can you perceive. So they can use a lot of language about the senses and use the vocabulary already learned. Also, they can describe the object and guess the object of their pair. So first I'm going to give the example and then they're going to do the free practice. For the evaluation, they're going to pick paper and they have to pick one of the objects in the rooms and describe it and withdraw and write. The indicators of the activity is they use the previous vocabulary, they learn the new vocabulary and use it with these examples, they make senses and questions, and also they describe the objects. The accomplishments of the activity is they will learn about new words, perceive, and use it in the context. Also, they're going to describe the objects and identify the characteristics of them. The problems could be in the activity that they don't understand the activity, or they cannot use the words, or they don't understand the vocabulary. For that, the teacher has to explain again, do some mimics, movements, and teach them with pictures, so to make sure they learn the new vocabulary and they are using the vocabulary for the questions and for the answers.